In this video, we're going to have a look at modeling entities using UML, the Unified Modeling Language. First of all, we're going to use a tool called Lucidchart. It's a web application, so it's available in your browser. Just navigate to lucidchart.com. When you're there, sign up for a new account, but use your Deakin email address. Lucidchart gives 3 years, if I remember correctly, 3 years free pro features for education students. And then from that point onwards, you just have to prove you're still a student if you're continuing studies. So this is Lucidchart here. I've logged in with my Deakin email and I have access to the pro features. Now, inside Lucidchart, we can create a new diagram. And we can add the UML class diagram shapes. UML is really designed for creating diagrams related to object-oriented programming. So the class and the struct are fairly similar, meaning that we can use the class diagram to model the entities that we're going to code in our system using structs. Let's have a look at how we do that. I can come in, create a new blank diagram, and then in the shapes section down here, we can add shapes, and I can choose from the UML list. There's a whole lot of different things you can do with UML. The class diagrams. And that's given me access to those shapes, in addition to the other shapes that are available. Now that we've got that, we can draw out the entities we have associated with our program. Now you could do this while you're thinking about your program and you could model it. Otherwise, you can also extract it from code if you've already got code. So I've got some code already. Here's our night database. Inside our night database, we had two different entities that we'd created, two different data types that we constructed, one for night data and one for night update option. So let's model the night data first with the name and the age inside it. So here what we can do is we can grab from the side here one of these different types. This is the one used normally for indicating classes, and it would indicate the fields at the top, or the class name at the top, the fields in the second box down, and then the methods that you have attached to it. But because we're just talking about structs and we're not going to have any methods, let's just use this box here. Now normally this is for an interface, but it works equally for a struct. What we would do inside this is indicate that it's a struct. This text here inside these angle brackets indicates what's called a stereotype. It's a annotation basically on the diagram. So this annotation says this is a struct. What was it? It was night data. Now inside here I don't have to use the same case that I'm using in my code. I'll know that I'm going to have to translate that to whichever language I'm using and whatever style of syntax the convention is for that language. Inside the body then we would list out each of the different things. So we have a name, which is a string. And we had an age, which is an integer. We could say integer or int, it wouldn't really matter at this point. And that would be, make that text a little bit bigger maybe. There we go, might be a bit easier to read. So that would be our diagram. It's very simple. You drag the shapes in from the left here and update them with the different details. Now in addition to the night data, we also had the night update option. And so from the left here, we can pull that box in again. In this case, we would say it is an enum. And inside this, we would list the different options. And there we go. So we have here an indication of the different kinds of data that we're modeling in our program. So I have a struct, which is a night data, that has inside it a name and an age, which are these types. I also have a night update option, which is an enum, and has these three values. So this is a way of capturing this, which we can then quickly communicate to others without them having to look at the code. It is also something you can start with. If you haven't got code and you want to think about your ideas, rather than having to write the code in a syntax which has to be rigid so that it meets the compiler's needs, you can document them in here a little bit more flexibly. Hope that's been helpful.